Hi, YouTube friends. My name is Gales, and I'm here with Ken today, my fiance, and we're going to be playing a visual novel called Witch's Curse that was made for Spooktober. It's a jam game. Ken, you want to say hi?
Hello.
All right. And Ken's here of his own free will. He's not chained up or anything. I asked him to do some voices for me today. And hopefully the VN's not too girly that he's giving me some strange looks for making him be here.
Send help.
Alright. The front page looks really nice. I like their little logo. Nice colors. I think the main character's name is April. I forget who the guy is. I think Kael, maybe? Or maybe I'm getting confused.
I have known nothing, but I really enjoy the art, though. The art looks great here so far.
Yeah. Anyway, alright, let's begin.
Hey.
Old lady. Good afternoon, April. How are you doing today? I'm well, Mrs. Anderson. How about you? It seems you're improving day by day. I'm getting there. This old body needs time to heal. Oh, I shouldn't keep people waiting behind me. Can I please have the fentanyl? Of course. I'll be back in a moment. So this is my job at a local pharmacy in Summertown. I was born and raised here, knowing this lady for as long as I can remember. After half an hour of handling the request from the queue, April, you can finish up here and I'll take the night shift. My coworker offered, preparing to take my place. Go home safely. The news has been quite worrisome recently. Be careful of the witch's curse. Ah, yes, I will. Please take good care of yourself as well, Amy. See you tomorrow. I wrapped up my work and started my walk home. When I was a kid, I never needed to worry about walking the streets late at night. People would hang out after work for drinks in the pubs, and youngsters would have fun in parks and shopping centers. Which, I recall reading on the main page, I think they said that they painted over photos, or...
Ooh.
Yeah, it has a really nice, I like the effect. It looks really nice, though. And I like the coloring and lighting and all that. It looks good.
Yeah, it does, actually. I like the technique.
However, during the past 2 years, Summertown underwent a transformation, mostly for the worse. People went missing or succumbed to mysterious causes. The police were exhausted trying to figure out the culprits, or even groups of culprits, yet their efforts were either fruitless or led to red herrings. Many said, this must be the witch's curse, a curse that dated back centuries. Personally, I didn't like this term, but it was disheartening that I couldn't do anything to help. Sometimes I think, I'm just an ordinary girl, or I wish I could do something to save people. Yeah, I would like to save people. Especially if you're a pharmacist. Yeah, it makes sense that you'd think about that.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Frequently, I found myself pondering, is there more to life than being a pharmacy clerk? Don't get me wrong, I'm content with my job, but a part of me yearns to make a more significant impact. I'm not sure I have the courage to confront wrongdoers. I'd probably run in the opposite direction. Still, that nagging feeling persists, a desire to do more, to be there for people when they're in dire need. Okay, so what's on my shopping list today? Very cool. I opened my phone to check the notes. Normally, I didn't need to remember what I needed to buy for the day. However, with a new guest at home, after making the mistake of buying too little a few times, I decided to take notes of needing groceries. Bzz, bzz, a new message. Miss April, are you on your way home? I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Kael. It's my guest, Kael.
Okay, I guess I'll be voicing this then. Alright.
Which I hope I'm saying the name right, because I don't know how to pronounce this. Maybe I should have looked it up, but oh well. We're gonna say Kael. Yes, I'll buy some ingredients for pasta. I replied since Kael was getting the hang of using his phone. I expected it would take him a while to reply, so I took the time to pick up some milk.
Pasta, I'm over the moon.
It took him a whole minute to reply. I couldn't help but chuckle at his enthusiasm. Kael had only gotten his phone last week, and typing was still a challenging task for him, not to mention he was obsessed with using emojis. I couldn't believe it until I saw him spend a long 3 minutes picking the right emoji. Shopping went quickly. I bought some extra food, which would probably pair well with the cabbage in the fridge, so we could make another delicious dinner tomorrow. Secretly, I was thanking Kael for brightening my mood and making me think about something fun. After a whole day's work, I must have been a bit tired, but my sad mood had easily dissipated. It was good to have someone who could lift your spirits. Another new background, very cool. I walked with my groceries towards my apartment, which was still a few blocks and streets away. As I turned a corner, I noticed a silhouette. We don't know who this is.
Yeah. Miss April.
The figure approached me. Oh, Kael.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
I felt relieved when I saw his friendly face.
Apologies, did I startle you?
A little bit, but I'm easily scared, so don't mind me. I didn't expect you to be here.
I didn't expect you to carry so much. Just give me all the bags.
Kael offered, taking away all the groceries. Well, there were some discounts, so I ended up buying more than usual. So, one thing I want to mention, I do like the character designs. The only thing is, the way she's dressed doesn't really strike me as pharmacist cleric.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I mean, like, maybe just using, like, just a single image just for all the things here, but yeah, it could have used something a little bit more casual, I think.
Yeah, it looks kind of like fantasy princess-y to me. Which, I mean, might fit the overall story, but I don't know. Maybe we're supposed to use our imaginations to pretend she's wearing something different, but I'm just pointing
Maybe
that
on
out.
the side she promotes makeup. I mean, I'm just saying.
She does look really cute, though. Not bashing the character at all. Just
yeah,
saying.
no, the character and the general design look great. It's just that in emphasis to, like, the fact that she is a pharmacist, like, it just doesn't really match up well.
Right.
At least to our perspective, anyway.
Anyway.
Next time, I'll wait for you in front of the supermarket, if that's okay.
I hesitated, concerned about his recovery. But you're still healing, aren't you?
That's true, but carrying a few bags won't hurt.
As we walked down a street just a few minutes away from my place, memories of the night I had found Kael severely wounded and barely able to stand came flooding back. No one had answered my call to the police hotline that night, and I had feared for his life. That's why I had him brought home and tended to his injuries. Kael didn't seem to remember much after waking up other than his name. Soon we arrived home. And though I initially intended to cook alone, Kael insisted on joining me. He took charge of all the vegetable and meat prep work, leaving me to handle the actual cooking. That's nice of him. Good job, Kael. You're not allowed in the kitchen, Ken.
No, I was just about to say. I mean, I didn't know if we wanted to go there or not, but, like, yeah, no, she does all the cooking. Anytime I cook, she bashes on me, so no, I'm done.
I'm too picky. But it is nice when Guy offered to help a lady out.
Just remember that.
I had to admit, working together was so much more enjoyable than doing it alone.
Wow, this smells so good. I can't wait.
I playfully puffed out my chest. Of course, we have a Michelin 3-star chef in the house. How could this go wrong?
Michelin.
Oh, whatever. Oh, great. Ken's here to correct all my mispronunciations of names and places and things I don't know, but that's okay.
Don't worry, guys. I got you.
Somebody needs to do it, I guess.
Michelin what?
Oh, it's like the top-tier chef in the world. Kael occasionally had these unique reactions to what I considered common knowledge. A few months ago, he had been fascinated by the gas stove, claiming it was magic until I explained that it was just a modern technology. Even today, I sometimes caught him looking at the gas stove with interested eyes. So I'm guessing he's from another time period or another world, maybe?
Possibly. I mean, do you see his outfit too? Like, it doesn't really match modern day too well.
Yeah. His behavior was a mix of mature manners like calling me Miss April and acting like a gentleman, and childlike wonder as if he were seeing the world with fresh eyes.
Oh, I got it. Like those chefs in the palace.
The palace? Oh, you mean the mansions of rich people?
I mean, the king's palace.
She's gonna think he's nuts.
Called it.
Kael, I said as he stirred the chopped vegetables in the pan. We don't have a king in this country. It's a republic.
Right. Noted.
Kael replied with a sigh.
Another thing I don't know about.
It's okay. You just need some time. Physical wounds heal quickly, but amnesia takes more time to recover from. I mean, is it amnesia, though, if he's just remembering wrong? Isn't amnesia when you, like, forget? Like...
I've always thought of it as such, like, basically that you forget things. Or
not
forget,
that you remember things differently, but...
Yeah. No, it's like any, like, I would imagine it's pretty much any type of impairment of memory. Basically, is the way I kind of simplify it to.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I could only imagine how tough it must be to have amnesia. I felt deep sympathy for Kael.
Thanks, Miss April.
I know it's not easy. I'm here for you. Now it's dinner time.
Woohoo! The highlight of my day.
Kael helped with setting up the table, arranging the plates and utensils with a flare of enthusiasm that was endearing. His energy was infectious, making even the simplest tasks feel like a delightful adventure. Aww, cute little CG image.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
It's a little sketchy, but I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially with the kind of coloring. I mean, they're going for, like, kind of like a watercolor-like effect here.
Yeah.
I like that, actually, too. I mean, it doesn't have to be detailed, and it was for a jam anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, considering it's a jam game, it's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's cute.
Mm-hmm.
After we finished dinner, both of us were content. Lying back on the sofa, Kael grabbed the TV remote and started looking for his favorite shows.
I guess I'll look for Sean's show. Do you have something you'd like to watch?
It's alright, I mostly watch TV for the sound. My mind is often somewhere else. Suddenly, the news cut in, reporting another mysterious death in Summertown. After presenting the facts, the news anchor began interviewing local residents. You want to do that one, Ken?
Yeah, sure. I think we're all cursed. The witch's curse. I heard from the witch's curse from my mother. She heard it from her mother. There must be some reason why this tale has been so popular in this town.
Kael turned his head toward me and casually asked,
Do you believe in what they're saying about the witch's curse?
We don't even really know what it is, do we?
Not really. It's just like they just mention it, and it's just kind of just like
expecting us to know.
Right.
I don't know. Sure. It's on TV, right? It's got to be true.
I mean, everybody mentions it. You know, it's the most popular thing around. Yo, you heard about the witch's curse? Yeah.
My brother's got the witch's curse.
My mother's mother told me about it. Like.
Oh, that's pretty.
That was a pretty shot, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It might sound kind of weird if you're new to Summertown, but we've got this old history with witches here.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
Let me think. My grandma used to tell me stories about a witch who visited this town, which used to be the kingdom's capital ages ago. She was one of the good ones, you know? She helped out folks who'd lost their hands or legs. She had this magical yarn that could stitch them back together. That's curious, okay.
Yeah,
People here still sing songs about her kindness, and parents tell their kids her stories at bedtime.
That's quite fascinating.
After hearing the tidbit of local folklore I shared with him, Kael seemed lost in thought for a moment. What's on your mind, Kael? I couldn't help but be curious about his reaction.
It's like it struck a chord.
He mused, appearing lost in thought for a moment before returning with a smile.
But it's probably just my imagination.
The night descended, and I prepared my bed while Kael settled in the bathtub. He sleeps in the bathtub?
I mean, you gotta soak.
I couldn't help but feel sorry for him, but he insisted on maintaining our separate sleeping arrangements, citing it as the appropriate choice. I mean, what about, wasn't there a couch? Why doesn't he?
I'm just and there's, she just rescued him, and like, you're gonna go to bed with him now? I mean, that'd be kind of weird.
I mean, he can sleep on the couch. He doesn't have to sleep in the tub.
I mean, that's true too. That is weird. That is so okay.
Or even the floor, I think, would be more comfortable than the tub.
Man.
Unless he's like a mermaid or something.
Well, we haven't seen his legs yet, so.
That's true. I think she'd be a little more onto that he's not from this world, though, if he's a mermaid. Unless
I would assume so.
Unless mermaids are a thing in this world. I mean, we don't know, so maybe.
Talk about magic strings already, just...
Okay. Kael had offered me money, expressing his deep apologies for imposing on me. With the funds he had given me, he could have easily rented a more upscale place than my humble apartment. However, I didn't mind looking after him while he navigated this unfamiliar world. Besides, I secretly enjoyed his company. I mean, is it secretly? I mean, she seems happy around him. So
yeah.
I don't know if it's so secret. But maybe they were hinting at she likes him more than just a friend. Maybe that's what they meant.
I'm assuming so with the whole about imposing. But okay.
I'm heading home. See you tomorrow. I packed my stuff and left the pharmacy. The weather forecast said a storm was approaching. Summertown sunlight was being replaced by the cold, unforgiving glow of neon lights. The wind unforgivingly chilled my skin. I tucked myself in my coat. My mind was wandering on its own. Last night, I had a dream. I didn't have the time to digest the emotions that stirred inside my mind, but perhaps the evening atmosphere brought it back to me. I was pretty sure this was not a good dream. It had the appearance of a good dream at the very beginning. In the depths of a mystical forest, I woke up. The sun was bright yet gentle outside the window.
I'll just do this one.
Okay.
Miss Witch?
A voice calling me, a seemingly familiar one.
Good morning, it's breakfast time.
I joined my pets for breakfast. Shadow, Midnight, Silence, and Whisker. Aw, they're so cute! So we got like a bat, I think that's a mouse, a cat, and a bird?
Yeah, I think so.
Very cute. So I don't know, was that one of the animals talking maybe?
Maybe.
To others, they were a bat, a cat, a raven, and a mouse, but to me, they were cherished companions. Our meal was filled with laughter and playful antics. While I read a book, they frolicked around me. Shadow playfully nudged Midnight, while Silence remained by my side, and Whisker climbed onto my shoulder, unnoticed by the others. Did they always bicker? Oh, Whisker. That's the mouse, I think?
Yeah, it is.
I'll do it. I'll do
Did they always bicker like this before you created me?
Whisker asked, rolling his eyes. He's referring to Shadow and Midnight. I'm not sure where the rivalry between Shadow and Midnight began. They've never seen eye to eye. I replied, unfazed. To me, they were like mischievous siblings with unique personalities.
Well, at least it's entertaining to watch them squabble.
Whisker mused before curling up on my shoulder for a nap. The sun's rays filtered through the gaps in the leaves above our heads, casting a mosaic of light and shadow on the forest floor. The birds, seemingly tireless, serenaded us with an endless, sweet-sounding melody. This had been my life for as long as I could remember. The sun's daily rise and fall The trees' cycles of growth and decay, the birds' fleeting visits. We had remained unchanged for centuries, a timeless existence. Only the moon, with its unchanging face, served as a constant reminder of the passage of time. As I gazed upward, the moon's familiar presence triggered a memory from my dream. But as my surroundings came into focus, I was abruptly pulled back to reality. The once bustling street now lay eerily empty. A sense of unease gnawed at me. The shadowy figures seemed to lurk in every dark corner. There was no time to digest my dream. I quickened my pace, making my way home. Turning a corner, I was abruptly drawn to a sudden movement. Ooh.
Oh.
Creepy red scribble outline.
Very sassy man.
From the depths of the alley emerged a sinister presence, its form morphing into something chillingly human. It began as a spherical mass, but swiftly sprouted thin, writhing tentacles that intertwined and shaped into an unsettling figure. I was forced to take a few steps back, pressed against the cold, unforgiving brick wall as my heart raced, my head spinned. Feelings that stemmed from my dream resurfaced, haunting me. The flickering street lamp cast eerie, elongated shadows across the narrow valley, and the wind howled, infusing the air with an unworldly aura. My breaths came into shallow gasps, my trembling fingers clutching my coat. The ominous figure drew closer, its evil aura, like wet air, uncomfortably touched my skin. Panic seized my throat as I attempted to grab my phone, my shaking hands making it nearly impossible to dial for help. A fragment of my dream suddenly crystallized in my mind. For reasons I couldn't explain, I found myself recognizing this shadow, or more precisely understanding what it was composed of. Fear began to dissipate, replaced by an unshakable focus on the shadow, sensing an inexplicable connection to my dream. A stream of dark liquid shot from the shadow, hitting the wall bricks just centimeters from my head. It was clear that I was being hunted and targeted. Panic surged through me, and I knew I had to run, and quickly. But as I scanned my surroundings, the grim reality sank in. The once well-lit and lengthy road had now succumbed to darkness. There was no light in sight, and it felt as if the entire world had shrunk into a small, dark space, trapping the shadowy figure and me within it. The closer the shadow approached, the more oppressive the air became, and the tighter the space squeezed around me. Escape seemed impossible. There was no hiding place and no one to come to my rescue. Just as hope began to wane, a sudden burst of light pierced the darkness, illuminating my surroundings. I realized that a tall figure stood before me, brandishing two gleaming blades that reflected the light like radiant butterflies dancing beneath the moon. Without time to compose myself or even call out his name, the figure lunged at the shadowy entity, wielding his blades with grace. The shadowy figure crumbled to the ground, shattered into countless pieces, and dispersed into the wind. The figure turned toward me, concern etched across his face.
Are you okay, Miss April?
Oh, it's really you, Kael. Tears streamed down my cheeks, my emotions too strong to contain.
It's alright, it's alright. You're safe with me now.
Kael reached out, enveloping me in a comforting embrace, patting my back to help me relax and catch my breath.
Here you go, your favorite tea.
So I'm guessing this probably wasn't a dream and she's just remembering it as a dream because it's so different from the reality that she's used to.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Kael welcomed me back to home. Guiding me to the sofa with swift grace, he prepared the warm drink and handed it over. Thank you, Kael, I replied, savoring the comforting warmth of the tea. I had never truly appreciated its soothing embrace before. It now felt like the best tea in the world.
I suppose I owe you some explanations.
Kael said, sitting beside me, observing as I regained my composure. I mean, you don't really need the Kael said, because, I mean, it's a visual novel, right? So we just know that he said that because it showed his picture and so the Kael set isn't really necessary. Just pointing that out.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to ask now. So far, I'm getting the vibe that this was either originally a story, like a novel kind of story, because it has that kind of feel to it and the narrating and such. And they're either that or the writer is usually that kind of writer, and they're trying to get into visual novels, or they're adapting this trying to adapt this story into a visual novel. That's my guess anyway, just based on experience.
Sounds like it, but just kind of this like mysterious depth behind it and everything that they keep suggesting every other scene or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely see that.
I'm not really, dissing it for that or anything. I'm just saying it has a very detailed narration, and that gives me chapter story vibes compared to visual novel writing, which tends to be more dialogue heavy.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I completely agree. Like there's definitely seems to be like more lore behind it than what they're revealing so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. And yeah, so far it's been great. I've been enjoying this so far.
It's really interesting. I like it. I like it. Let's see. Who are you? Or I'm really scared of these strange creatures. We'll just ask, who are you? Who are you exactly, Kael? I gathered my courage and posed the question.
Well, technically, I'm Kael.
We know that, Kael. Oh, quit teasing. You know what I mean.
Care to take a guess?
Kael locked eyes with me. Don't tell me you're not a human being.
Well, that's a good question.
He replied, his teasing expression unchanged. Yeah, once again, he replied isn't necessary.
Yes and no.
A human, but not a regular one. Is that it? I ventured, intrigued by his enigmatic nature. His earlier display of power was not something any ordinary human possessed.
Ah, you catch on quickly. To put it simply, most people were born into the world, right? I wasn't. Miss Witch created me.
Miss Witch?
Yes, she wove this human body for me using her enchanted yarn. The same goes for my brothers, though we're not related by blood. We're all companions of Miss Witch.
Oh, so is he maybe one of the familiars?
Maybe, it certainly sounds like it.
Like the cat and the mouse and the raven and the bat?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. That's my guess, anyway. My surprise was palpable. Who is Miss Witch? What's her name?
We never knew.
Kael sighed.
She kept her name hidden from everyone. It seemed to be the norm among witches. Considering how long we lived in our forest, Miss Witch was the only witch to us. It was only when we were invited to the king's palace that we learned about other witches.
So I'm a little confused. Is this still the dream, or was the dream just her and the animals, and now we're back to reality?
That's kind of getting me too. Like, when exactly did she have this dream? You know, in the in between scenes. I mean, she was coming back from the pharmacy, heading home, and then it talked about the dream, and it showed the image of the dream and stuff, and Miss Witch and with the animals, and then the whole thing with the alley thing where Kael showed up to save her. So I'm a little kind of confused about like where we are exactly and how we got here.
Yeah.
But as far as it goes, I mean, it's intriguing, though I'm just a little
confused about lost. The order of events.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a little lost.
I'm guessing I was mistaken in that the thing with the animals was the dream she was mentioning, and then we flipped back to reality.
I think so. Like,
and
maybe she was daydreaming.
That's what confused me a little bit. Right.
She did mention earlier too, like in the one scene, that she doesn't really focus in on on the TV. She just listens to sounds while her mind kind of drifts. So she might be the type that actually daydreams a lot. So that actually might have been part of that.
Yeah. But I just think it could have been just a little more clear about whether it's a dream or whether we're back in reality or whatever. Especially whenever you do a flashback and stuff, you want to be very clear when we are in the timeline of the story. If this is the past, the present, the future, whatever.
True. I mean, as somebody who doesn't really write, for me as just a reader in this, I am a little lost on that part of it. Hopefully it gets tied back up and cleared up a little bit more. But yeah, that felt like a misstep.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. Wow. I nodded, urging him to continue.
That was roughly 500 years ago. Miss Witch disappeared after the first wave of witch hunts. We fell into a deep slumber, our bodies sustained by her magical power.
So you only recently awoke from that sleep? And how did you end up severely injured back then?
Yes, I only recently awakened, and my memories returned bit by bit along with my health. As for the second question, I was indeed assaulted by someone. I have a clue about their identity, but I'll tell you more when it's absolutely certain. Please be patient with me, will you?
You don't even have to ask. I assured him with a smile. I'll always be here. Yeah, once again, you don't even need the I'll assured you with I'm gonna keep saying this, I'm sorry. But it bugs me. you don't need this at all, because we can already tell that she's assuring him with a smile. You're showing that, so you don't need to tell us. Anyway.
You're incredibly kind, Miss April.
I know I am. Kael noted, adjusting the blanket around me.
I can see you're growing calmer now. Should I let you rest? You must be exhausted after today's events.
Yes, I am exhausted, but at the same time, I feel strangely awake. Something had felt amiss since last night. I had experienced a dream in which I wasn't myself and encountered a mysterious assailant. Kael had protected me, and in doing so, had revealed himself to be a magical being created by a nameless witch. How lonely she was. I murmured softly.
What is it?
Oh, nothing. I should really get some sleep.
Yeah, you should. Good night, Miss April. Rest well.
Same to you, Kael, I replied, setting down my empty mug and heading to my room. I'm not going to mention it anymore, I swear. I'm going to ignore it. The night initially felt calm to me. I found myself revisiting the day's events in my head, a habit I'd carried since childhood. It was like a bedtime exercise, an opportunity to revisit the past arguments with my mother and imagine a victorious outcome, even though reality often dictated otherwise. Other times I replayed moments of regret, wishing I had chosen my words more wisely. It was my way of digesting life's challenges and mending what I could. As my energy waned, my thoughts ceased to wander, and I succumbed to sleep once more. It was the same dream I had the night before, but it began with the second part, the darker part. The air hung heavy, suffocating. I called out the names of my companions, but there were no replies. Worry for their safety consumed me, even though, judging by my surroundings, I was the one in immediate danger. Shackles clung to my ankles, their presence punctuated by the cold, unyielding echoes that followed every futile attempt to move. I was trapped in this tight, dark space, a prison cell often used to confine wrongdoers. What had I done wrong? What sin had led me to this confinement? I couldn't understand it. There was no moonlight to guide me, no path leading back home to our forest where my companions awaited, back to the tranquility of our once peaceful life. Strangely, I felt no fear. I was overcome by an overwhelming sense of loneliness. The loneliness, like the encroaching darkness, slowly suffocated me. I knew I was in a dream where my final breath was drawing near. A sharp pain in my chest tore from my restless dreams, and I bolted upright in bed, my emotions in turmoil. So now we know she's not dreaming for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sweat dripped from my forehead, moistening my sleepwear, which clung uncomfortably to my back. My hand trembled uncontrollably, as though I still grappled with the despair that had plagued my dream. Uncomfortable with the dampness, I hesitated to enter the bathroom for fear of disturbing Kael's sleep. Instead, I went to the kitchen and searched for clean towels in the cabinet, attempting to wipe away the cold sweat without venturing too far from the bedroom. Okay. It's probably Kael.
Yeah, I guess I'll do this one. Okay. April?
A concerned voice reached my ears from behind. Startled, I turned and realized it was Kael. Called it.
Yep.
Sorry to wake you up, Kael.
Don't worry about it. Oh, I'm so sorry.
His voice drew nearer, then abruptly stopped.
Miss April.
Embarrassed, I realized that I wasn't appropriately dressed. I was nearly half naked.
Wait there.
Kael swiftly turned and rummaged through my wardrobe, returning with a loose-fitting dress.
This one should be good enough.
Blushing, I couldn't bring myself to look anywhere but at my feet and toes.
Did you need any help? I'm rather skilled at taking care of people, especially someone...
What should I reply? Thanks for offering, I guess?
I guess.
I'm a little confused. So she wakes up in the middle of the night, runs into him, and then she's not appropriately dressed, so he hands her a dress randomly? Is that what happened?
I mean, she just woke up from her sleep, and we don't know exactly, like, what she wears to sleep. So I'm assuming it's something maybe a little bit more revealing. So maybe she doesn't sleep in PJs, maybe she sleeps in underwear?
Yeah, but why would he hand her a dress, like, just randomly? I mean, it looks dark, so I'm assuming it's still nighttime, but maybe it's day. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the lights are just turned off and it's daytime. Anyway, I was just a little, I don't know, kind of weird. I managed a faint smile, seeing this Kael's teasing demeanor transformed into one of concern. Holding my clothes in front of my chest, I turned my back to Kael as he held a towel, gently wiping away the sweat. His movements were tender and fluid. He lifted my long hair carefully to cleanse my neck and shoulders. Despite his care to avoid any skin-to-skin contact, I felt his breath on my skin. That tickles. I couldn't help but giggle.
What was that?
He seemed genuinely puzzled. Oh, your breath tickled, I replied, and it suddenly felt flirtatious, especially given the circumstances. He moved to stand in front of me, locking eyes with mine.
Where did you learn to tease people?
Oh, from a particular someone, I responded, meeting his eyes. His eyes were captivating, with eyelashes fluttering like butterfly wings.
I'll take that as a compliment.
He laughed softly, dropping the dress into my hands.
Now you should get really dressed. So it was a nightmare?
We sat on the sofa with my berry tea and Kael with his black coffee. My fingers trembled slightly around the warm cup, betraying my attempt to suppress the lingering emotions. I looked at Kael, my eyes revealing a mixture of confusion and unease. If it's just a nightmare, that wouldn't be so disturbing, I admitted in a hushed tone, as if afraid to voice my fears. It felt too real, like it's a reality on its own. Kael regarded me with a gentle expression, his eyes filled with understanding.
I don't mean to pry, but may I help?
He chose his words carefully, his concern evident. I hesitated, my gaze dropping to my tea. I wrapped my fingers around the cup for comfort. You don't feel like I'm a burden to you? Oh, I managed with a weak smile laced with genuine guilt. You just saved my life, helped me clean up, and now you want to be my therapist? Wasn't that too much for a single day? Kael reached out and clasped my hand, his touch grounding me.
That's the least I can do.
He replied, his voice steady and filled with sincerity. My heart skipped a beat under his comforting gaze. I sighed, moved by Kael's kindness, and decided to open up about my reoccurring dreams. To be honest, I can't really remember many details, but I clearly remember I was a different person. A person who seemed to live a peaceful life in the forest with her pets. That felt like an eternity. But soon the scenery changed. I was alone, trapped. Nobody responded to my calling. I felt so lonely, like centuries of time passed. It ate me alive, Kael. The emotions from the dream were unbearable. Kael listened attentively, his concern growing.
Even if those weren't your emotions?
I nodded, my eyes filling with vulnerability. I knew this sounded crazy, but I found these emotions were oddly connected to me. Like all the events were someone else's, but the emotions were shared with me. I suppose I feared being alone. Even since I lost my parents in my childhood, Though I was adopted to a kind and warm family, being alone is always my biggest fear in the world. Kael nodded thoughtfully, his gaze distant for a moment.
I see.
He took a moment to process my words before meeting my eyes with a sad smile.
You oddly resemble her.
Who? I asked, my curiosity piqued, though a pang of apprehension touched my chest. Kael chuckled softly.
Miss Witch.
Oh, well... I didn't quite know how to react to that comment. Thanks for thinking highly of me. I assumed that Miss Witch was someone dear to him. Kael laughed.
Oh, how so? She was the worst witch in the world. If she could ever have a virtue of yours, that would be great.
Huh? I was genuinely surprised by this remark.
But she was undeniably lonely. That's why she created us. And you have a similar aura like her.
We chatted for a few more moments, and Kael made sure I was calm before he asked if I wanted to go back to sleep. Oh, autosave.
Oh.
Fancy. After several more days had gone by. As October approached, Summertown transformed its appearance. Leaves cascaded from the maples lining the streets. The sun cast a warm yellowish glow in the early evening, tinting the town with a cozy hue. Which I have to say, the descriptions and the writing are very detailed and they're very nicely done. But once again, it gives me more of a chapter story vibe or novel vibe than a visual novel. Because in visual novels, you don't need to be overly detailed with your narrations. I mean, yeah, you want to be clear about what's going on, of course. But you usually want to let the visuals do some of the talking. So you kind of speed up the narration a little bit and get straight to the dialogue and the interactions of the characters, because that's what people want to play visual novels for. We want to see the characters interacting and their relationship and whatnot. Which there is some of that too, so it's not all narration, which is good. But I'm just saying, it's a little imbalanced between the narration and the dialogue. While Summertown might be best known for its summer season, I cherish the scene beauty of autumn. Perfect for enjoying a cup of tea and getting lost in a good book. As the sun's warm colors slowly gave way to the crisp darkness of late evening, I completed my work at the pharmacy and headed home.
Miss April.
Kael waved from across the street, a smile lighting up his face. Today we had planned to do our shopping together at the supermarket.
I have to admit, I miss the days when there was always someone behind the counter, and shopping meant engaging in a cozy chat with the shop owners. However, it is also quite amazing how everything is conveniently available in one place.
I chuckled, enjoying Kael's commentary on our modern lifestyle. It reminded me of visiting my grandmother's village, where the monthly market was lively and social event with locals. It was one of my cherished childhood memories.
Okay, based on our shopping list, that's everything we need.
Kael cheerfully concluded after inspecting the items in our cart. I'm thoroughly impressed, Kael. You have an incredible knack for this. I praised him, genuinely amazed at how quickly he adapted to the art of shopping, balancing price and quality with skill.
Were you underestimating me?
Different aged, same principles, I suppose. After all, you worked as a butler for Miss Witch back when you were with her in the capital.
Yes, you heard about that from me the other day.
I mean, why is he pointing that out? Okay. Kael acknowledged a hint of nostalgia in his eyes. It was just yesterday. Oh, maybe he's being nostalgic from Miss Witch, but
Maybe, yeah.
I thought he was saying he was nostalgia for yesterday, the conversation they had. Okay. As we approached the gate with our groceries, a familiar face suddenly appeared before me. April? Random voice. Huh? I turned around, surprised and delighted. Cora! Oh, I gotta do a voice for her.
Maybe something a little bit deeper. I don't know. She seems more mature.
How are you? I don't know. I've seen you two giggling and talking all the way. It was only now that I realized I hadn't had a chance to talk to Cora about Kael before. Guilt crept in as I was worried that she might think I was keeping her at a distance.
Cora, right?
Kael approached, extending a hand.
I'm Kael. Pleased to meet you.
Oh, quite a gentleman, isn't he? Cora raised an eyebrow, contrary to her playful tone. She seemed unfazed. Instead, she turned her gaze to me, flashing a bright smile. April, I'm sorry I haven't reached out in a while. Life and work have been hectic. But let's definitely plan a girls' tea time next weekend. What do you think? Absolutely. I responded enthusiastically. Cora gave me a warm hug and said, See you soon before leaving. My teenage years were filled with difficulty and stress. I had to navigate the aftermath of my parents' passing while adjusting to a new school and environment due to my adoption by another family. Did you hear? Both of her parents died in a car accident. No wonder everyone calls her a witch. Yeah, especially one with curses. Oh, here she comes. Let's keep our distance. I learned to ignore such hurtful comments, much as people around me chose to ignore my presence in school. April! A girl approached me, extending her hand politely. Oh, I'm guessing this is probably Cora.
Yeah, probably.
I noticed you're doing really well in maths. Could I borrow your notes? Huh? Oh, of course. Thank you so much. You're a lifesaver, April. You're welcome. My name is Cora, by the way, in case you were wondering. The only girl who had reached out to me introduced herself with a bright smile. And just so you know, the one with reddish hair is Kate, the one next to her is Anna, and the one is Betty. They might say unkind things behind your back, but please forgive those fools, will you? Life is short, and it's not worth wasting time on people who don't even have the courage to speak to your face. I couldn't remember the last time I laughed so genuinely. It was at that moment I began to recognize what Cora had given me, strength, something I had lost when my parents passed away.
She seems like an amazing person.
As we walked home, I shared my memories about Cora with Kael.
It's a shame she doesn't seem to like me.
Oh? Do you think so? I felt a bit concerned recalling how Cora had given Kael a cold shoulder earlier. Maybe it's my fault. Cora's my best friend, and I didn't mention anything about you during our recent conversations. She's been quite busy lately, and I thought it would be best not to overwhelm her with too much information.
Come on, April, don't blame yourself.
Kael chuckled and patted my shoulder.
I'm not complaining. Life is long, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to get to know each other. She'll warm up to me eventually.
Your confidence is reassuring. I was relieved that Kael was unsettled by the earlier encounter.
I'm determined to make it happen. After all...
Kael looked at me, his eyes filled with the teasing sparkle.
She should know her bestie is in good hands.
Oh. The way he said it had numerous possible interpretations, but one of them immediately quickened my heartbeat. Could it be that he felt the same way I did? Hey, April, let me tell you the story. Once upon a time, deep within the heart of an enchanting forest, there resided a young witch named Lilum. So this is a story within the story. She possessed a remarkable gift, a magical ability to weave life from enchanted strands of yarn. Using her extraordinary power, she had created a family of loyal companions. A playful bat named Shadow, a sleek black cat named Midnight, a wise and quiet raven named Silence, and a darling little mouse named Whisker. Together they lived in harmony with their secluded forest home, where moonlight danced through the trees and stars whispered secrets into the night. One fateful day, a handsome prince named Aiden lost his way while wandering through the mystical woods. Lilum, with her heart as pure as the forest itself, came to his rescue. Aiden was captivated by her kindness and grace, and she in turn fell in love with his gentle spirit. With Lilum's guidance, Prince Aiden safely returned to his kingdom, promising to send word when he arrived safely. True to his word, a royal invitation arrived in Lilum's cottage, inviting her and her magical companions to the grand palace. However, upon their arrival at the opulent capital, Lilum realized her pets appeared out of place amidst the bustling city. So she decided to use her gift once more. Okay, so we need to talk about this. So story time. You're doing a story within a story for one thing, and two, there's no visuals here. So this is definitely something you want to avoid in a visual novel because it's just, once again, it's more something you'd expect in a regular novel and not a visual novel. And the visual novels, you want the visuals to accompany the words so people have something to look at, because otherwise what's the point of playing a visual novel? There's nothing to look at but the words in a black screen. So I'm just pointing that out. It might be something you want to consider, maybe getting rid of this, especially since it feels like it's repeating information we already know, like about the little mouse and the raven and all that, or maybe find another way to incorporate it more naturally into the story rather than just inserting a story time moment inside of the story, if you get what I'm saying. So
Kind of feels like to me, if I were to put in some perspective from someone who doesn't write, kind of feels like to me like this might have been better in the actual in the actual event of like them having a tea party or so, just talking stuff, like, and have her bring it up then. Like that feels like that might have been more natural.
yeah, and then at least you'd have the Cora sprite at least when she's telling the story.
Right. And that's what I'm kind of thinking. Cause like yeah, like I agree. Like at the same time, like there's just a lot of repeating information. This feels almost kind of like a sidestep really to what's going on. It just feels more like a distraction than it is like actual like building on the story more.
I mean, the story itself, the ideas and stuff, is really interesting. I really like it. I like the lore, and I'm liking the characters all right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about the romance so far. I have some ideas of how this romance is going to turn out, so but I'll save that till the end because we haven't really seen a whole lot of it. I'm just guessing based on experience of these kind of romances. But yeah. So I'm just saying the execution could be better.
Yeah.
It could be better incorporated into the... Anyway. With a weave of her magical yarn, her beloved companions transformed into handsome young men, each returning their unique personalities and charm. Lilum, now a lady with her 4 devoted servants, made her entrance at the royal court. There she and Prince Aiden rekindled their friendship, and it soon blossomed into a deep and abiding love. They explored the kingdom together, their joy evident to all who beheld them. Yet amidst their happiness, a dark shadow loomed over the kingdom. An evil witch, the mistress of the king, was consumed by jealousy at Lilum's magical powers and the love she shared with Aiden. This wicked sorceress cast a malevolent spell upon the prince, plunging him into a deep and endless slumber. Heartbroken, the king searched for solution, but despair gnawed at his soul. It was then that Lilum, with the unwavering support of her loyal companions, resolved to confront the malevolent. Malevolent. That's one word I always struggle with, I swear. Witch. In an epic battle of magic and wits, Lilum, Shadow, Midnight, Silence, and Whisker confronted the evil witch, determined to break the curse and save the kingdom. Through their unwavering courage and unity, they managed to defeat the malevolent sorceress. I'm telling you, there's some words that I have trouble pronouncing, okay, and that is one of them. Freeing Prince Aiden from his eternal sleep. With love, triumph, and darkness vanquished, Prince Aiden and Lilum were wed in splendid ceremony, their love stronger than ever. The kingdom rejoiced in their happiness, and the forest that had cradled Lilum in its embrace continued to thrive, its secrets now shared with all. That's the story my dad once read to me, Cora said, her voice filled with nostalgia. Back in my teenage years, Cora had shared this fairy tale with me one evening after school as we shared snacks and relaxed together in the park. People often say witches are evil and unkind, and that they should be driven out of the human world. Cora mused, looking at the horizon and then turning to me. But I love this story. You see, witches can be strong and sweet. Indeed. I nodded, just realizing something. I guess I could be a bit more comfortable with my nickname. It's completely up to you. Cora laughed, taking a chip from my snack. Even if you are a witch, you can be the most powerful and cute one. Yeah. Well spoken, Cora. It was a tranquil night, bathed in the gentle embrace of moonlight. The colored glass windows of the church cast a mesmerizing mosaic hues across the ground the ground of the altar. Just as I was about to leave the altar after finishing my speech with the followers, I felt an approaching presence, a familiar one. Ah, it's Cora, one of the new followers. Good evening, Father Brannan. Cora greeted me with a respectful bow.
Cora, thank you for joining us this evening. Is there something something on your mind?
Oh, I think this is Brennan who's narrating now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so you should be reading this, because I'm pretty sure that's what this means.
Okay.
Alright, so you're doing the narrating now.
Okay, we'll switch over then. She hesitated for a moment, then showed me the necklace.
Father, should I be concerned about this?
Cora's voice wavered. She held the necklace bestowed upon her by the Red Church. The gem within glowed brightly. I had informed my followers that these necklaces possessed the power to shield them from the curses of the witches. If they ever found themselves in the presence of true evil, the gem would radiate with an eerie light. I concealed my excitement. I had been searching for this individual for quite some time. The necklace, aside from its role as a talisman, harbored a hidden agenda. It was a clever ruse I devised to locate a specific person within Summertown. With thousands of devout followers, they unwittingly formed a network of spies, aiding me in my quest to find my target. Kael. You are still alive, the traitor responsible for Miss Witch's demise.
Aw, snap.
I yearned for the opportunity to exact my vengeance upon him and honor my master's memory. Please, don't worry, Cora. Your concerns have been duly noted. You can trust that I will address them promptly. I replied, maintaining a facade of compassion as I concealed my ulterior motives.
Thank you, Father Brannan.
Cora, with her unwavering trust in my words, smiled with evident relief.
Now, I'm guessing we're back to April.
I'm assuming so. I'm thinking that's what it meant
Okay.
by when it had the Brannan at the top
Yeah.
there. So yeah.
All right. It was a delightful Saturday afternoon, the town alive with vibrancy of people reveling in the relaxation of the weekend. Troubling news had taken a temporary backseat, allowing everyone to savor the precious moments of life. Spotting Cora in the cafe, her seat beside the window offered the perfect setting for our girlish rendezvous under the warm sunshine. I couldn't contain my excitement. Yeah, this is definitely April. It'd be funny if it was Brennan, but I'm pretty sure it's April.
I couldn't contain my excitement.
For our girlish rendezvous.
Woo.
Hey, girl. I couldn't contain my excitement and rushed over to embrace my dear friend after greeting her. Cora, let me give you a hug. I've missed you so much. Me too. Cora responded warmly, returning the embrace with equal enthusiasm. Life has been so hectic. After sharing a heartfelt hug, we settled into our seats and placed our drink orders. Cora opted for an Earl Grey tea, while I chose the seasonal delight of a pumpkin spice latte. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, as we hadn't had the chance to meet for a while, and there was much to catch up on. Cora confided in me about her recent struggles and work with life, and she admitted to seeing a therapist. Although I suspected that her therapy was linked to childhood trauma we were once discussed during our teenage years, I refrained from bringing it up. Cora was a strong individual, or at least she portrayed herself as one. I didn't want to inadvertently undermine that image. However, the conversation took a joyful turn when Cora shared her exciting news of an impending marriage. Her wedding had been in the works for some time, delayed by life's various distractions, but it was finally settled. I'm absolutely excited for you, Cora. I couldn't contain my happiness for my dear friend. She had shared her wedding plans with me a while back, and I was overjoyed to see them coming to fruition. So once again, the narration is overtaking the dialogue. So this is things that you could show, actually, instead of telling what they're talking about, you could actually have them say it in dialogue. So, once again, it's something you want to keep in mind with visual novels. More dialogue, less narration. So, guess what? We worked hard to find the best venue and date, and the only available slot in the Summertown Hotel happens to be on Halloween. We thought, why not? We both have fond memories of tricks and treats from our childhood. That's a brilliant idea. I mused, envisioning the perfect theme for their post-wedding celebration. A Halloween-themed reception sounds like a lot of fun. You're speaking my mind, April. Cora chuckled. Once again, I felt a sense of gratitude and contentment as I witnessed her relaxed and contented demeanor. As our conversation continued, Cora shifted the focus to me, and I couldn't help but feel a tinge of apprehension about her impending question. Kael, who exactly is this guy? Cora dove right in without giving me a moment to prepare. I took a deep breath, attempting to find the right words to summarize my stories with Kael. I shared how I had found him wounded in an alley, my inability to reach the police at that moment, and my decision to bring him home to tend his injuries and amnesia. I carefully omitted the details of the shadowy attack, the nightmares, and the witch-related stories that Kael had shared with me. Those were secrets I couldn't easily reveal to others, especially considering Kael's trust. Cora sighed. April, it's so typical of you. Oh? I didn't expect her to react this way, so I wanted to hear more. Don't you always attract these complex individuals? In the past, you befriended someone like me, dealing with mental health issues, and now you're taking care of a person with an unknown origin like Kael. Why would she say that about
Right, that just feels kind of...
I tried to hide my embarrassment by pouting. Cora, you shouldn't say that about yourself. And yes, I admit I'm curious to learn more about Kael. He's kind and I feel comfortable around him. Oh, I see. He's totally your type. I nearly spilled my latte. Cora had an uncanny ability to hit the nail on the head. Cora, please. I implored, my cheeks flushed with embarrassment. There's nothing between us. At least, not yet. Cora didn't let up on the teasing. We both laughed, knowing that Cora's teasing was rooted in her deep care for me. She always pushed me to confront my thoughts and feelings, and this was no exception. April, you're a dear friend to me. I'll be married soon, and I wish the same happiness for you. If there's ever anything strange or odd, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm just a phone call away. Her concern was palpable, even though I hadn't shared the full extent of my experiences with her. Cora genuinely cared about my well-being. I promise, Cora. I replied with a reassuring smile. I'll tell you everything soon. Just give me a little more time, all right? I'll gladly wait. Cora responded warmly before she reached out to her handbag. Oh, before I forget, take this talisman. It's a gift from the person I trust the most. It will shield you from malevolence. Every time, I swear, and ensure your happiness. Thank you, Cora. I graciously accepted the thoughtful gift from my dear friend, appreciating the unwavering support.
I'm guessing this is from Kael's perspective now.
Yes.
The grand hall of the king's palace was bathed in the shimmering light of the chandeliers suspended above. The enchanting melodies of beautiful music filled the air, casting a spell on every guest as they mingled. Their smiles, laughter, and conversations painted a vibrant scene, while the hall offered a feast for the senses. Quiet, efficient servants moved gracefully through the room, offering lavish drinks and delectable food, filling the air with a fragrant blend of perfumes and mouth-watering dishes. Lady Lilum, previously our Miss Witch, now graced the dance floor, and they waltzed with Prince Aiden. It had been several months since we had left our tranquil forest, having received Prince Aiden's invitation. To acclimate to the human world, we all undergone a transformation, shedding our animal forms for human bodies. I, once Shadow the Bat, was now Kael. Midnight the Cat had transformed into Brannan. Oh.
I had a feeling because they mentioned the rivalry between the bat and the cat, so...
Yeah, it makes sense.
So it makes sense that they'd continue that rivalry even when they were human.
Mm-hmm. Our raven Silence has become a tall man named Lucan, and our little mouse Whisker was now a small guy named Finny.
Aww.
Perhaps Lady Lilum had faced the least hassle, merely adopting a human name. Most believe that Lilum had her name from birth, unaware that her true name remained concealed, known only to herself, for reasons we didn't know at the time. Brandon stood vigilantly, observing the dance, his unwavering gaze fixed on Lady Lilum, I approached him, drink in hand. We've never experienced such an exciting and luxurious life like back in the forest. Are you enjoying it? I inquired, attempting to steer the focus away from the dance. Enough with the small talk, Kael. What's your agenda? Brandon responded tersely, with his expression unyielding. Sighing, I shifted my attention to Lady Lilum and her dance partner. It was evident that the deep affection had blossomed between them. I found myself delighted in the sight, feeling genuine happiness for her. However, it seemed not everyone shared my sentiment. Miss Witch is our mistress, but at this moment, she is simply a young woman who has developed feelings for a charming man. It's a heartwarming sight. I hope their relationship flourishes. I remarked, gauging his reaction. Clearly vexed by my comments, Brandon turned to me, declaring, "This is not where Miss Witch belongs." "Why not? She appears to be savoring every moment of this new life." "Brandon, are you merely envious? Did you secretly wish that you were the one dancing with Miss Witch?" Brandon frowned, but remained silent, his emotions concealed. "If Miss Witch loves this man and this place, then we should support and honor her wishes." I told him earnestly, my tone serious, hoping that the words would quell his unfound anger. I knew he was listening, but he refused to respond, his thoughts hidden. Raising my glass in a toast, I added, "You know, I dream of meeting a girl I can love and protect one day." With that, I left Brandon to contemplate my words, hoping they would find a place in his heart. Watching the full moon outside the window, I couldn't help but reminisce about the banquet at the King's Palace centuries ago. My thoughts drifted to the complex relationship between Brandon and me. I had always wanted to befriend him, but our contrasting personalities and perspectives had created an unbridged divide. He seemed to view me as a rival for Miss Witch's affections, a perception that had driven a wedge between us. "Do you still hold a grudge against me for the words I spoke that day?" I murmured to myself, my doubts lingering. While Brandon continued to hold Miss Witch in high regard, I found solace in witnessing her embrace happiness sorry, with a charming prince. It was a divergence in our paths that had been in motion since the day we had left the forest, a point from which our tragic tale had begun to unfold. As I gazed at the full moon through this window.
This is Brandon now.
Yep. Memories of that cruel scene in the King's Palace centuries ago flooded my mind. Our Miss Witch, once a formidable magic wielder, had now transformed into a vulnerable young woman who indulged the courtship with Prince Aiden. I alone seemed to grasp the harsh truth that this was not our rightful path. Kael had become trapped in the illusion of happiness, harboring misguided notions of settling permanently in a world that was never meant for us. Our fellow companions, Lucan and Finney, had adopted seamlessly into the foreign realm. I made every effort to convince Miss Witch and the others that we should swiftly return to our forest. Secretly, I yearned for Prince Aiden to lose interest in Lady Lilum. Secretly, I wished for a catastrophic fire to consume the King's Palace. Secretly, I prayed for Miss Witch's true identity to be revealed, compelling her to relinquish her life as Lady Lilum in the capital and return to our forest, restoring the life we once knew. Oh. The fate proved unmerciful. The last image etched into my memory before the long slumber was that of Miss Witch burning at the stake.
Aww.
Yeah. I swore to avenge her and punish the traitor Kael. How dare he continue living with an innocent smile adorning his face.
Okay, I'm guessing we're back to April now. A pleasant Saturday used to be a straightforward affair for me. It meant sitting by a window with a good book and my favorite tea. If the sun was shining brightly, it was the perfect time for an adventure novel. On rainy days, I'd opt for a romance novel with a touch of melancholy. However, today my response would be quite different. Kael and I embarked on a shopping trip in the late afternoon, searching for a new TV and other odds and ends. Kael, not being one for a bright day, preferred our day out during the evening hours. To my pleasant surprise, he invited me to dinner. Oh, that's incredibly sweet of you. He doesn't like the day because he's a bat.
That's true.
I couldn't conceal the blush creeping into my cheeks. My heart even quickened as Kael held my hand and guided me to our table.
It's thanks to you that I've made such a speedy recovery. You have my gratitude.
Kael toasted me. I couldn't help but wonder if this dinner was his way of showing appreciation. Really, I couldn't be happier, I replied through a pang of sadness tugged in my heart. Could this be a farewell? After all, Kael and I were from different worlds, and, not to mention, different ages. But there was a part of me that screams internally, urging me to ask him to stay, because I still haven't quite figured out my feelings for you, Kael. Under the dimly hung new moon, its feeble light struggled to pierce the shadows that enveloped the desolate streets. A chill wind swept through the secluded alleyway, a shortcut we were taking on our way home. I couldn't help but wrap my coat tight around me, the memories of my previous solitary walk through this alley, threatened by shadowy creatures haunting me. This time, however, I had Kael by my side, a reassuring presence with the capacity to protect me should any danger arise. We had just enjoyed a delightful dinner together, and I was eager to continue our conversation. Time seemed to fly by in his company. Still, I hesitated to inquire about his future plans, as he seemed to have no reason to stay with me.
It's quite chilly, isn't it?
Kael glanced my way, offering a warm smile as he adjusted my scarf to shield me from the cold. His simple, thoughtful gesture warmed my heart and gave me the courage to broach the subject that had been on my mind. Kael, I began, struggling to find the right words.
What is it?
I was wondering, you mentioned earlier that you wanted to find Miss Witch. Is that still your plan?
Yes.
Kael replied firmly.
I need to locate her and ask her to weave a heart for me.
Oh, why is that?
Because in doing so, I would become the same kind of human as you, April.
He said, his laughter filling the air. Kael, even without him explaining further, I believed I understood his reasons. I was being silly. I thought you were going for a journey without turning back.
You were silly, April.
Kael said, meeting my eyes with a meaningful gaze.
In fact,
My heart raced as I awaited his words, hoping they would match the feelings that I had been growing within me. Before he could finish his sentence, a sudden bright light streaked from above us. In the next instant, I found myself swept up by Kael, who carried me several meters away from our original spot. Still processing the situation, I spotted our attacker, who revealed himself by picking up a sword lodged in the ground. Silently, yet menacingly, he approached us.
Brannan.
Kael muttered, a name I'd never heard before. I felt a sense of unease, not knowing his intentions or his connection to Kael. I didn't have long to wonder, for Kael's demeanor toward Brannan became evident when I saw him prepare to defend us.
Kael.
Brannan spoke with resentment.
It's a pity that my previous attack didn't finish you. Finish me? When you were ever good at jokes, Brannan? You barely scratched me, not last time, not this time. Last time, you were barely alive.
Brannan corrected, narrowing his eyes, then he looked toward me.
If not for this girl.
It was at that moment that I realized our attacker was none other than this person, the one who had severely injured Kael before, the same Kael I had found wounded and helpless. The same Kael. Well, I mean, we know that.
Right.
We know who Kael is. We've been paying attention. Fear and tension gripped my heart. Kael, we should run away. I don't want you to be in danger like before.
I will if I see an opportunity.
Kael replied, his focus unwavering as he positioned himself protectively in front of me.
You won't be fortunate as last time, traitor. It's time to pay for your crimes.
Brannan declared, gripping his sword, a malevolent glint in his eye.
Traitor? Crimes? What are you talking about?
I got it right that time, Ken, on the first
Yeah,
try.
there you go.
Kael stared at Brennan as if he were insane.
If it's not you who betrayed Miss Witch back then, who could she have captured and who could have captured and burned at the stake?
Kael was shocked, but he quickly shook his head and shouted back.
That's impossible. She must still be alive today. I witnessed her tragedy, and with my own eyes.
Brennan raised his sword, and in the next moment he engaged Kael, who defended himself with dual blades. The sounds of their weapons clashing echoed in the cold air. Anger and determination seemed to have fueled Brennan's strength to the maximum. He attacked Kael with all his might, every move sharp and decisive. Kael, on the other hand, struggled. Several cuts appeared on his arms and sides. His confusion appeared to slow him down as he had to divide his attention to keep me at a safe distance.
Listen, Brannan, it must be a misunderstanding.
Kael barely managed to break free from Brennan's relentless assault, attempting to reason with him.
We were her creations, and our bodies were powered by her mana. She must be alive somewhere. That's why we can still move in the world.
Kael added, still trying to catch his breath.
Who knows? If you talk about evidence, then those shadowy spirits, have you encountered them? They're called witches' curses, made of Miss Witch's resentment because she was unfairly sentenced. And where were you when you were needed most by her?
Brennan's rage did not diminish.
I was trying to save her. I reached out for Prince Aiden, but didn't he take any action to stop her sentence?
Kael's voice quivered with desperation.
Ha! So you admit you were the traitor at last?
Brennan laughed sarcastically.
I told you a million times Aiden could not be trusted.
So why isn't he focusing his hate on Aiden instead of Kael?
I think it's just because of the fact that they're both mutual spirits or so, or these animals or so, and then they got turned into these people. And I think Brennan's perspective is that he wants to go back to that natural aspect of being an animal again. And I think he takes anger towards Kael because Kael's adopted and accepted this life. This kind of being a human, living in the human world, stuff like that there. So I think that's part of why he blames him for it instead of the whole Aiden. Because, it's not that he doesn't hate Aiden. It's that he feels that, Kael should have, sided with him about going back. And that would have saved her and then got them back to how it was before that whole intervention with Aiden.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the anger's stemming from. I'm with you, though. I feel like the anger should be more towards Aiden.
Yeah.
Because he was the driving step for her to move away from that life.
Yeah. But what you said makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. So I think it's just more frustration, really, is what he's doing. He's just putting it on him.
Right.
Especially the fact that these two were always bickering with each other anyway.
Yeah.
So.
As soon as he declared, Brennan dashed toward Kael, closing the distance between them, and struck them from above again. So maybe it's more like a friendly rivalry than actual hatred or whatever.
Well, I think from the way Brennan's coming up here and talking, it sounds like it is anger. It's
right.
I think it starts with frustration, but it's being shown in anger now, especially the fact that they're fighting and what sounds like to the death.
Right.
Right. Ah!
Kael barely managed to hold his position and defend himself with his cross blades. Like a friendly rivalry that went too far.
Yeah, exactly.
Across the line.
Right.
A million ideas spun in my head, but none of them could help me save myself and Kael from this desperate situation. Kael had no intention of fighting his fellow companion, and I couldn't do anything to separate the two. Every second that passed, a new cut appeared on Kael, even though he managed to counterattack. It was clear, even to an outsider like me, that Kael didn't have the upper hand. I mean, you could, think of something to throw at him or something.
Mm-hmm.
Please, I prayed, just something, anything to stop this fight. Suddenly my body grew extremely cold, my muscles weakening, unable to support my weight. The next moment I found myself collapsed on the ground, my consciousness still intact, observing my body lying there. It was an eerie sensation, my soul seemingly separated from my body.
April!
Kael desperately called my name.
You have no time to attend that girl.
Brennan's strike followed him, leaving him no gap to reach my side. Suddenly, a powerful presence emerged within my body, emitting a formidable aura. Both Kael and Brannan sensed the overwhelming energy and paused their actions.
Miss Witch?
They both uttered their master's name. It seems you enjoy fighting with each other. My body moved on its own, and I felt connection to Miss Witch. Now my body was under her control.
There's no doubt about this. That this is Miss Witch.
Brennan quickly came to his senses.
This is the same magic source that nourished our bodies.
Kael held his breath, pondering, before carefully asking.
Miss Witch, can you tell us why you were residing in April's body?
A good question, Kael. Aren't you always quick and smart? She smiled, her gaze shifting towards Brennan, who promptly humbled his head. I just wanted to say that I've always cherished both of you deeply as my companions. Our enemy is not among us. She spoke with a calm and loving voice.
Please tell us the truth. If you are Miss Witch, then who is April, and what happened back then?
My body was destroyed, but my soul found a new shell. Unfortunately for me, the shell already has an owner.
So April truly exists?
Kael sighed with relief, clenching his fist with joy.
That doesn't matter. Miss Witch, please return to us. I have prepared a place for us, a sacred sanctuary where thousands of followers will risk their lives to guard you. No one will ever lay a finger on you.
It seems my time is up. she just completely ignored his request. Miss Witch smiled weakly. Let her decide my fate.
Wow.
I began to feel my body warming up, my heart beating again, and my blood flowing fiercely. It hurt and ached as if I had just finished a marathon.
Wait, Miss Witch! Please stay with us!
Brennan reached out towards me, or rather, Miss Witch, from just a moment ago. However, my body had lasted strength and was about to collapse once more.
April!
Kael rushed to my side, holding me in his arms. Finally, my consciousness fully returned. Kael. I tried to reach out to him, my voice weak.
It's alright. I'm with you, April.
Kael assured, holding me tightly.
April.
Brannan approached, ignoring our moment of reconciliation.
Given that you are Miss Witch's vessel, I invite you to join our Red Church.
Red Church? Oh, I felt puzzled, but the word did ring a bell. Suddenly I remembered that my friend Cora had mentioned it to me on a few occasions.
I established it in the name of Miss Witch. It will serve as your home and sanctuary. Those who gather there possess unwavering faith in Miss Witch's power. What an absurd idea, Brannan.
Kael interjected with clear disapproval.
I won't allow you to exploit April for whatever you are scheming. Stop it, Kael. I'm speaking to Miss Witch's vessel.
Brannan replied stoically.
Listen, you have much greater potential than just living a normal life as April.
What should I do?
Oh, this is easy.
Yeah, Brennan's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, I mean the dude's like
who are you gonna choose? The guy who genuinely shows care and affection for you, or the guy who's just a complete jerk and just attack the guy who's been trying
right.
to...
I mean, the man's been assaulting both you and the guy you're caring for and stuff like that. Like,
so it's like sweet romance or toxic romance.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it might not be romantic, but I mean, who are you gonna go with is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. Perhaps Miss Witch is someone of great importance to you. I mustered the courage to voice my thoughts and reasons. It was evident that Brannan held Miss Witch in high regard, considering the effort he had invested in establishing a new religion and gathering followers. But I value my life as April. I am proud of the person I've become today. Besides, I glanced at Kael, who returned my gaze with hopeful eyes. If I were to join you, I would never see Kael again, would I? You despise him, don't you? Confronting people wasn't my forte, but today, perhaps with Kael at my side, I felt a newfound strength within me.
April.
Kael held my hand firmly, his relieved smile radiating warmth and joy. Brennan, on the other hand, narrowed his eyes, his displeasure evident.
If you won't come willing, then I'll take you by force.
He readied himself to attack once more. In response, Kael stepped forward, his blades at the ready. Unlike the previous encounter, Kael's eyes were filled with determination, devoid of any confusion. Kael lunged at Brannan, his blade slashing through the air with precision. Brannan parried skillfully, but with each clash of their weapons, it was clear that Kael was gaining the upper hand. Nice image.
Yep.
Oh, and his shirt's
What?
open.
What? I mean, I can only imagine it got torn up from the battle. But I mean, there should be some gashes.
I mean,
and stuff.
I'm okay with it. No,
yeah,
it's
you
fine.
would be.
I'll accept the fan service. No, it looks really cool.
No, it is a cool image, though. It really is.
Kael's kind of giving off the Styrian vibes right there.
Oh, God.
I'm just pointing that out.
You've chosen the wrong path, Brennan.
Kael said between strikes, his voice unwavering. Brennan grunted in response, his attacks becoming increasingly desperate. With a sudden burst of energy, Kael executed a swift series of strikes, forcing Brennan to retreat.
You can't force April into this.
Kael's voice was firm, his resolve unyielding. As Brennan stumbled backward, Kael seized the opportunity, launching a powerful strike that sent Brennan crashing to the ground. Ooh. What?
I'm just so you know, I'm staring at her to see her reaction on this.
I can have some fangirl moments.
Okay.
It's pretty hot. Alright. The resounding clash of steel echoed through the air, signifying Kael's triumph in the duel. Now kiss him. In a Brennan's position, he subdued Brennan, pinning him to the ground, one blade hovering dangerously close to his neck.
Listen, Brennan, this isn't the way. Miss Witch wouldn't want us to be enemies.
Brennan's eyes bore into Kael's, filled with a complex mix of hatred, frustration, and a hint of realization.
Fine.
He hissed, defeated. Kael slowly withdrew his blade and stepped back, allowing Brennan to rise.
I'll let her go, but remember, Kael, this isn't over.
The tension hung heavy in the air as the two former companions stared at each other down, the unresolved conflict still simmering beneath the surface. But I was just so glad this was over, even if it was only temporary.
Are you feeling any better, April?
Kael gently lowered me onto the bed, his eyes filled with deep concern as he hovered over me. I'm perfectly fine now. You worry too much. Despite the recent tension, I couldn't help but feel Kael's concern endearing, and a soft giggle escaped my lips. I do feel surprisingly awake, though. I admitted, my gaze meeting him.
That's completely normal after what we just went through.
Kael replied, relief washing over his features.
I feel the same way. I'm exhausted. But sleep seems impossible right now.
So what do you want to do, then? Kael's eyes softened as he responded.
Honestly, April, right now, I just want to watch you sleep.
Kind of creepy, but okay. Are you going to sing me a lullaby and read me a bedtime story, too? Kael smiled, but there was a hint of sadness in his expression.
Maybe someday, but I'm not joking. I was terrified today. I thought I was going to lose you. I thought Brennan was going to take you away.
Kael. His words tugged at my heart, and I reached out to hold his hand, wanting to offer some comfort.
April.
Kael said softly, closing his eyes briefly, as if savoring the warmth of our connection. Then he reopened them, his gaze filled with love, passion, and a hint of vulnerability.
Can I kiss you, April?
My heart soared, and I felt a rush of emotion. Without hesitation, I leaned in, our lips meeting in a sweet, reassuring kiss. After our first kiss concluded, Kael's hand remained cradled at the back of my head. The intensity of his passion seemed to grow even stronger than before, and I could feel the warmth radiating from his hand. It sent sensations coursing through me, sensations that I couldn't resist, but rather ones I yearned for even more.
This is not enough. I want more. May I?
Oh my. His tone sounded almost like a plea, tugging at my heartstrings and making me yearn for the vulnerability in his soft expression. In response, I answered his question by reuniting our lips. Very cute.
Very cute.
This time, he delicately slipped his tongue into my mouth, gently exploring my teeth and tongue. Okay.
Damn.
I couldn't resist the urge to rest my hand on his shoulder, and he quickly intertwined his fingers with mine as our deep kiss continued. Moist kisses trailed down my chin, slid to my neck, and finally landed on my collarbone. Each kiss left a fiery imprint on my skin and sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't help but tremble each time his lips met my flesh.
I'll be gentle, April.
Are they...
I think they are.
Oh! Okay. Unexpected, but alright, sure.
I mean, in the moment type thing, they were just about to die just a moment ago, like...
I guess, sure.
I guess.
I mean, usually I'd expect movies in a, dinner first, but... But okay.
I mean, it's in the moment, hun, it just...
At least they didn't just meet. I feel like they've been living together for a while. I forget.
Oh, yeah.
I forget how long they said, but I feel like it's... At least they've known each other for, I'm guessing, at least a few months. I don't know.
That's what I think.
Hoping,
I think
anyway.
It's a few months as well, yeah.
Hoping. Anyway. We spent the night as lovers, our eagerness to confirm each other's existence driving us to share countless kisses. At times it felt almost suffocating, but our bodies were intimately connected, just as our feelings were. Oh, okay. That's it. All right. Not bad.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, actually.
I really liked the story. The characters were pretty good. I liked the art. I wish there were more, like, the sprites weren't on the side. They were most sprites are going to be, the half-body sprites. In the center. Oh, we get a little bonus. Okay. We'll play through the bonus, and then we'll talk more about the rating we give and what we liked and what we disliked. All right. Or what we liked and what we thought could be better. I don't like to use the word dislike because you can always improve. You can always change and
Yeah, of course.
All right. Hey, April, over here. Cora waved enthusiastically as she spotted us approaching. It was the final day of October, Halloween, and Summertown had donned its autumn colors. The leaves painted the town with shades of yellow, red, and green, and while the wind had grown chillier, it couldn't dampen the festive spirit in the air. I had dressed up as Cora's bridesmaid, a role I was excited to embrace. Cora and her partner had chosen a small wedding at the Summertown Hotel, and despite the modest setting, it was a celebration filled with joy. Tears had been shed during the heartfelt ceremony, and we all savored the delicious food and lively music. But the highlight was that Halloween-themed after-wedding party Cora had organized seamlessly, blending the wedding and the holiday festivities.
Your witch outfit suits you perfectly.
Kael remarked, dressed as a vampire lord. See, he's dressed as a Styrian.
Oh, good lord.
You know it.
Yeah.
Ever wish I were a real witch? Kael laughed and shook his head firmly.
No, you're April, the girl I love. No one else.
His gaze then shifted to Cora and her new husband, who were dancing by the pool. The disco lights cast a kaleidoscope of colors on them, making them look like characters from a fairy tale.
I used to look up to Miss Witch from afar.
Kael began, as if reminiscing about old memories. I leaned closer, eager to hear his thoughts.
I suppose I could understand some of the emotions Brendan felt at the time. There was self-doubt and unease as we followed Miss Witch out of the forest. Witnessing her relationship with the prince and all of the talk of their marriage made us question our own paths. What we were going to do next. What was the purpose of our lives?
Did you find any answers? My curiosity was piqued and my heart raced.
I told myself, why not seek my own happiness, just as Miss Witch did?
His eyes sparkled with warmth.
And now look at me, living my dream.
I couldn't help but feel a bit bashful at his words. Aren't you afraid of disappointment one day?
Never.
Aww. That's cute.
I like that.
Yeah. Very cute. Kael tenderly raised my chin, holding one of my hands and bringing it closer to him, peppering kisses on its back.
You're the one I wanted to be with, April, not anyone else. Even though your body might share Miss Witch's soul, that's not how I see you. I want us to live a normal life, just like everyone here.
He looked at me with unwavering sincerity.
But I know we might face obstacles, especially with Brandon's determination to use you as a vessel for Miss Witch. We'll need to figure out how to let your soul fully inhibit your body. Regardless of the challenges ahead, I promise you this. I will protect you with all that I have.
Kael. I was deeply moved by his words and his unshakable determination. Then let's face those challenges together. I'll help in any way I can.
Aww.
This is the end of Kael's route. Thank you for playing. You're welcome. We enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was cool.
Okay, so. So like I said, I like the art. I liked this. I like the story itself. Like the ideas. I like the lore. It was very interesting. But and I like the sprites, but I wish they'd been more the half body sprites than just all on the side. It's a little unusual for a visual novel. But so my main criticism is this felt more like I said it while we were playing it, but this felt more like an actual novel to me than a visual novel. It's more of the format of it that I have an issue with than the story itself. So like I said, definitely want to focus more on the dialogue and less on the narration. More on the showing and less on the telling. Because a lot of the information we got secondhand based on like people's memories or dreams or, rather than April just learning all this naturally for herself, she was told it from her friend Cora or from Kael. So I think that could have been executed a little bit better. But yeah, that's really my main critique, really. That and the sprite thing.
From my perspective for it here, like I feel kind of the same. I mean, like it was a good story. I like the characters a lot. I think that there was moments where visual cues might have been a little bit better to kind of emphasize like the story and what's going on and stuff like that. There, granted, I know it's part of a jam, so time might have been limited, but definitely if you were to go back over it here, that's something that I would probably look over, especially those moments where it was just nothing but black or just empty scenes with nothing really going on. I like as an artist, I would probably try to add in some more visual things in there, like either having the characters in the scene or showing more of the scene and that sort. So I get it. But really, that's really my only gripe with it, honestly. I mean, otherwise, I enjoyed it. Like, good story, good characters. Like, I like the lore behind it. Even with, like, just the fight scene itself, I know you're just using, like, slashes there to kind of emphasize the battle going on. I thought that was fine. Like, stuff like that there, just, like, that little bit,
yeah.
I felt really helped the scene a lot. Because if it was just black and nothing there, I think that would have just voided out the tension going on and that sort.
And the slashes thing, that's typical in a visual novel when you want to portray action. Just little things like that. And it really does make a big difference. Like, even something as subtle as a little slash makes a big difference than just a plain black screen.
Right.
It gives us something to look at. Something exciting and suspenseful.
Right. I kind of think
to
of it
accompany
like...
the writing.
Exactly. Like, for me, like, as an artist, like, I kind of look at it, like, in the sense of, like, comics, where comics will throw in like wording and stuff in scenes where you see like, actions taking place and that sort, just to emphasize what's going on. And sometimes you may not even fully catch it, but I think that was a great addition for that part of it. As for like the rest, I mean, coming from an artistic perspective, I really like the look of like some of the scenes and uses where, like it was mentioned earlier, that it was like photos like painted over and stuff like that. I really liked that. Like it actually looked really well done.
Yeah, it did.
So for me, like visually, that was great. If I could have more of that in this, I would definitely take it.
And then I wanted to mention the romance a little bit too. This is more personal than actual critique. The romance, it was sweet and cute, but, and this is a big but, it felt very one-sided in that he was doing everything for her. He was supporting her. He wanted her to be good and feel good and be okay. He wanted to protect her. And the problem with that is a romance needs to be a partnership. That needs to be more equal give and take. So we understand that he wants to protect her, but why? What is she offering him in return. I mean, other than just being there and being a person that he can protect and support and serve as a servant, kind of.
Like, I kind of get that too, but I feel like it's like, because I mean, like, initially the reason why he cares is because she treated him, she helped him, like he was wounded and she took him in.
Yes.
And that sort. But I agree. Like, there should be more after that.
Even though she did that, it doesn't say anything about her character. What does he like about her? Is it because she's kind? Is it because she's smart? Is it because, he thinks she's a good person? We don't really get to see that. And it might exist. Maybe she's a wonderful person, but we didn't see that. It didn't
right.
show at all.
Right.
So
it was basically just mentioned, but then not really shown throughout the rest of the story.
I'm not trying to diss the characters or anything. I'm just saying what we're shown, it wasn't there for me. I didn't feel that connection, Right. It felt too one-sided. Like, he liked her just because she was there and she was someone he could protect. Which he even told Brennan at one point, I wish I could have a girl that I could protect. And it's like, okay, but why?
Right. So no, I hear you on that, and I would agree. Like,
because you could just protect any girl. You could pick any girl and protect her. Why this particular girl? Did you fall in love with her? That's my point on the romance. But that's more personal. I'm really picky about my romance. I'm very particular. So, but yeah. I'd give it, rating-wise, I'd probably give it 3 stars because I liked it. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the story. I just feel like the execution was off. And my main suggestion would be, if I was to tell this to the creator, would be play visual novels and get that experience with how visual novels are written compared to how books are written. Because like I said, I feel like this is either an author who writes in a novel format and is trying to get into visual novels. And whenever you want to go into a new format of writing, you definitely want that experience of seeing how other people go about it. Because that'll give you an idea of like, this is how I need to be writing my visual novels. This is what people who play visual novels are going to expect and look for. Because, yeah, it's definitely has a strong novel feel from a reader's perspective. From someone who reads both visual novels and novels, this is definitely more novel to me. And I'd like it as a novel. I think it'd be great. But if you're going to do it in a visual novel, yeah, it definitely needs some work before it's, from what I consider, a well-executed visual novel anyway. But yeah, so like I said, 3 stars is, for me, about average. So it's not bad, but it could be better. That's my take on it anyway.
I would agree.
All right. Anything else you want to say, Ken? Are we good?
Oh no, that's it. I again just greatly enjoyed it. Like to see more. Like to see more done.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Fun story. Very
fun.
Very cool. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.